He got LASIK eye surgery and a nose job. He seemed to be sowing his wild oats, and he was going out a lot, partying, doing drugs. When he did stop by the deli, he'd have random women with him. He also started having sex with a lot of sex workers, which is how he met Chris Robinson in the fall of 2005.
Did you see our latest review?
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Well, I read reviews.
I do too.
Going to bed.
Oh, about the twin. I actually was going to
Yes.
screenshot you.
Oh, my God. Okay, I'm just going to read it.
Breaks my heart.
It says, Rebecca and Rachel, you two are the best. I love listening to you both. When you both laugh, I crack up every time. Your humor is so contagious. This isn't where I'm going. I'm not just singing our praises.
Humble brag.
Humble brag. Your humor is so contagious and I love it. My identical twin unfortunately passed away 7 years ago, and it's been the worst thing I've ever had to deal with. She was my best friend, and when I stumbled on your podcast, I cried because I missed my sissy. And the awesome bond you two share is amazing, and I feel like I have so much in common with you both since knowing what a twin feels like. Keep up the great stories, and being a huge fan of crime stories, listening to you both makes it all good.
Oh my God, I saw that.
That came with an audible gasp when I read that last night.
I know.
And then
I'm going to screenshot it to you.
Well,
it's so sad.
I teared so hard. And listener, and by the way, I think I know who you are because I can't let things go. And I immediately started researching. And because,
no, you did not.
Yes.
Oh my God. You're taking it a step too far. What if she's like, I don't want you to research it?
Well, because I think you did an article about organ donation.
What?
I found you. I couldn't rest until I looked more into it. And I found an article you did, I think, in Huffington Post and the Today Show.
What?
If that's you, oh my God, sorry doesn't begin to cover it. I mean, by the way, you're a very beautiful writer. And I saw a comment under your article from some guy saying he too lost his identical twin. And he said, it's nothing anyone can fathom. Imagine losing your reflection. Which I thought was very profound. I was sobbing. I mean,
oh my God.
Even if it's not you, I'm so sorry. I cannot imagine what that's like.
I know. I can't either. Now I just realized that she did put a name.
So organ donation is very important.
We've said that before too.
We've said that before.
Agree. All right.
Okay.
It is sad.
Oh God.
I'm so sorry.
Oof, it gives me the willies.
And this is Rachel. It's my turn today. And sorry in advance if I'm like sound weird or not myself. I'm so sick. I do not feel well at all.
So no strep, no COVID?
No strep, no COVID.
Well, what is it?
They don't know.
What did the doctor say?
Nothing. Nothing of help.
Yeah, you had to pay $300?
Yeah, I had a routine doctor's checkup anyway today. And I was like, good news. We get to combine them because I don't feel well. And they're like, bad news. No, you can't. I was like, go fuck yourself.
Nuh-uh. And you said, I don't give a shit. I'm not making a separate appointment.
I said, well, then we're going to move the wellness check. The routine one is moving to tomorrow. And I can't wait to get both bills and not pay them.
So then they agreed with you and decided to do them all one day?
Nope.
Are you serious?
No, I'm going back tomorrow for my routine one. I went to the strep test today. My kids' doctors have done that too. When we were out of town and my mother-in-law was in town watching the kids, they both got sick. One of which had an ear infection. She had to bring both of them to the doctor's appointment because she was solo. And she said, I really think he has an ear infection too. And they said, well, you'll have to make a separate appointment.
Go to hell.
Fuck off. So much for like, it's the patient care that counts, especially when it's at that point 2 and 4-year-old.
With their grandmother.
She was like, just look in his ears. No. A few weeks later, I got a bill for both, obviously, because that's all anyone wants around here. Not around
here being America.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't mean around North Carolina. Yeah, I was pissed. I was like, okay, that would have been actually very helpful. We have to wait in the damn waiting room for an hour anyway, or in the office, in the actual doctor's office for the doctor, like, just peek in the ear.
Right.
He has an ear infection. And guess what? He did have one. They went back the next day. He had one. So they both got amoxicillin or whatever.
God.
A few weeks later, I got a bill for 2 sick appointments. I'm like, yeah, honestly, y'all could have just charged me 2 for that one. I don't care. The point was she had to lug them all back, put him in the car, go back to the doctor's the next day.
Right.
It's so annoying.
But why do you yourself, Rach, at 37, have a wellness check tomorrow? How old are you? Are you
No,
4?
it's a routine to get my prescription filled.
Oh, okay. Like your physical?
No, it's to get my Adderall filled.
Oh.
I have to check in and make sure I'm not going batshit crazy.
Which
And I'm about to go batshit crazy when you tell me that I have to make 2 separate appointments.
Totally.
I was like, please. They're like, well, the labs are downstairs. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Can I please just walk my ass upstairs for my normal appointment?
And that's today's rant.
All right. Today, I'm telling y'all about Betty and Glenn Sandler.
Okay.
I don't think you know it.
Mm-mm.
Sources, Broward, Palm Beach, New Times. It's a mouthful.
Mm.
The Sun Sentinel and Dateline. Sorry. Did it. Come at me.
Okay.
Glenn Sandler was born in Boston in 1954. His dad was a successful businessman, and Glenn aspired to be the same. So he went to college at the University of Miami, and that's where he met Betty Schusler. Or it might be Schessler. I don't know.
Okay.
Eventually, it's Betty Sandler because they get married.
Mm-hmm.
They got married on October 3rd, 1981, and went on to have 2 sons, Jeff and Greg. In 1986, by the time he was 33 years old, Glenn had already started and sold a couple of companies, and he made a ton of money. So he was essentially retired, but while playing golf one day, he met the owner of a local restaurant called the Gourmet Deli, and he ended up buying it.
Oh, wow.
They may have made a bet on the golf course, like something crazy.
Oh, they real rich.
I'm not 100%, but I saw like a snippet of an archive newspaper that said something like that.
Like if you lose, you have to buy this restaurant from me?
Yeah, I guess. This deli kills it. Still does.
I was about to say, is it a chain?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of. I mean, if there may be more than one location.
Owners. Yeah.
But no, this is not a chain. Apparently, there are sometimes 2-hour wait times. And during high season, they average like $14,000 in sales. And that's from an article in 2007.
Wow.
So like, and they said they average around $3 million a year. Like they
oh my
kill
God.
it. So very successful. And this officially brought Glenn out of retirement. He was there every single day working from open until close, doing anything and everything. He was very involved. He would work the cash register if needed, whatever.
Love that.
Soon after, he, Betty, and the 2 boys moved into the Aero Club, which is in nearby Wellington, Florida. Aero Club is a private aviation community. Pretty much everyone has planes parked in their garage in addition to their nice-ass cars.
That's nice.
Very upscale. And Glenn had taken up flying as a hobby, so he bought this house as well as a small 4-seater plane to go with his new digs.
No thanks.
Here's your headset. No, thank you.
No, thank you. 1 engine? Thanks, but no
thank
thanks.
you. That sounds great. I'm not getting on it. They were living the good life, but apparently Betty and Glenn were total opposites. Glenn was this big 6'2", jeans and t-shirt type of guy. Apparently he refused to dress up even for weddings. Which is a real stick it to him.
Gotcha. Screw you.
Screw your wedding.
And your dress
I can
code.
celebrate you in ripped jeans and a dirty t-shirt. Betty, however, was about a foot shorter and always dressed to the nines, very put together.
Cute.
She was also really sweet, whereas Glenn was pretty cutthroat, especially when it came to business. It was his way or the highway, and failure was not an option.
It is Mark Cuban in my mind.
So he had this really lovable complex where he had to win at everything.
Oh, people love that.
For instance, I have some examples.
Oh, good.
Once an employee at the deli asked for a raise that Glenn did not think he deserved. They got into a heated argument, and Glenn grabbed one of the glass ashtrays and slammed it on the table and broke it. And apparently that was not uncommon.
Damn.
He would like throw ashtrays. If he was getting really heated during or something pissed him off at work, he would just like get a pencil and snap it in half. Like he's just like had a temper. Hothead.
I wonder how much that guy asked for. The balls he has to even ask. I'd be like, will you at least get 10% for asking?
It was said that Glenn made it known, like, don't even ask for a raise. No one's getting
Damn.
one.
Okay.
Cute.
People love that in a boss.
I know. Not good.
Stubborn,
Right.
thick-headed, you know.
Yeah. This likely carried into his personal life and especially in his marriage because by the early 2000s, their marriage was falling apart. And in 2004, after both sons graduated high school and after 23 years of marriage, Betty filed for divorce.
Oh, it would be very hard to be married to someone like that.
I know.
Non-negotiables. I'm like,
Right.
oh, God, come on.
I know. Glenn did not take this well at all. He didn't want the marriage to end, and it doesn't seem like it was because he was so in love with her. He more so saw this as a failure. And again, that's not an option.
Oh,
He
right.
could have ended it, but she could not.
Oh, God.
His biggest concern was losing his money, the deli, his house. So when he ended up having to move out and she got to stay in the house, he was determined to leave her with nothing. And this became extremely messy and bitter.
Mm-hmm.
He offered her a settlement of $2.5 million plus $5,000 a month, but her response was the same as every settlement he offered. No, it's not enough.
Get it, girl?
She was concerned about what the divorce would do to her financially, too. She had been a stay-at-home mom for over 20 years. She had her cosmetology license before they got married, but it was 30 years old and long expired. So she's just like, what am I going to do?
Right. And what year did they get divorced?
2004.
Okay, $2.5 million, $5,000 a month in perpetuity?
I don't know. I don't know that part.
Okay.
But this was yet another thing Glenn was determined to win. He even kept actual score during the proceedings, saying things like, I'm up 2-1. I got the dog in the car. She got the kids. I think the kids.
Oh, I think. Ouch.
Ouch. If I'm the kids. If I'm the kids, I'm saying ouch.
Yeah, for sure. And this is turning petty very quickly.
It's so dumb.
I'm up 2-1. Okay. You lost the marriage. You lost.
Yeah.
God, I bet that would irk him.
Oof. Yeah. Good thing she didn't say that. Well, things probably would have turned out the exact same. So it's bitter and far from finalized at this point, and Glenn's employees start noticing a change in him. The deli has been his entire life for years. He came in as soon as it opened and stayed until closing, but after Betty filed for divorce, that stopped. He got LASIK eye surgery and a nose job, and while he wasn't known to be a big drinker, he seemed to be sowing his wild oats, and he was going out a lot, partying, doing drugs. When he did stop by the deli, he'd have random women with him. He also started having sex with a lot of sex workers, which is how he met Chris Robinson in the fall of 2005 through a sex worker.
Okay.
Chris Robinson was a drug dealer, and that's who Glenn was buying crack from on a weekly basis.
Stop.
He was doing crack. He was going through about an ounce a week, which I don't know anything, but apparently that's very excessive.
Any amount a week. You're doing it weekly?
Yeah.
Wow, you're really pissing your life away.
Yeah.
You came out of retirement for this. Like, God.
Well, and that was mid-'80s. Now we're in 2004. 5.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Your later life, this is when you decide to start crack.
Smoking crack.
Start smoking crack. This is epic.
Glenn and Chris got pretty close. Glenn lent Chris money in his car. They were together a lot, usually at Chris's room at the Super 8 motel where he lived. One day while hanging out, Glenn asked Chris to, quote, throw a birthday party for his wife. And Chris was like, what do you mean? And Glenn said straight out, I want her dead. In fact, he told Chris if he could get this done, he'd give him $25,000. So Chris was like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. And the two came up with a plan.
Chris, he has more than that.
I know. The plan was for Chris and a friend to steal a couple of cars and ram into Betty at an intersection and then flee.
Oh my God.
Dumbest plan. I mean, absolute worst plan in history.
Yeah, that's not a, I mean,
there's
never trying to tell you how to get away with stuff, but that's not a guarantee. She's going to live, see, and
right. There's no guarantee that anyone's dying in a car accident. Are y'all stealing Mack trucks? I don't.
What are we doing?
What are we doing here? And does she frequent an intersection where there's no cars, no people, no
right? You're going to injure a
cameras?
lot of people.
It's unbelievable. The dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, riskiest and the stupidest type of way.
I know. Doesn't matter because Glenn was down for this plan.
Perfect.
And on September 30th, 2005, he gave Chris a $5,000 deposit, but warned him not to fuck him over because he's already been fucked over by another hitman.
Oh, God.
Apparently, a few months earlier, Glenn gave a guy named Meats, who was in the Outlaws biker gang, $5,000 to kill Betty, and he bolted. He's just like...
Ghosted.
He's
like, peace
ghosted
out.
him. He was like, no. But thanks for the 5K.
Meats. That's what you get for trusting a guy named Meats.
I mean, if we've mentioned it once, we've mentioned it 100 times of handing someone who's 21 and up money at a gas station to buy beer and they leave.
Yeah. Are you new?
We deserve that. So Glenn was like, don't pull that shit. And Chris assured him that she would be killed the following Thursday. Luckily,
you're just telling everybody.
I know.
Anyone who'll listen.
I know. He's an idiot. Luckily, Chris ended up getting arrested a few days later on an unrelated drug charge and outstanding warrant, so this plan never came to fruition. With Chris in jail, Glenn needed to find another drug dealer and possible hitman.
Dude.
So Chris connected him with his former supplier, a guy who went by Fred. I don't have a last name because obviously the first name is made up, and if you're not picturing Fred Mertz and gangster garbs, what are you doing? What are you doing here
with your life?
So now Fred and Glenn become really good friends, and Glenn confided in him that one of the main reasons he wanted Betty dead is because she was blackmailing him. Apparently there was a big tax fraud scheme he had with one of his old businesses. She knew about it and threatened to go to the IRS. He essentially didn't pay taxes. Glenn and Fred also bonded over their frustrations with Chris. Fred was the one involved in the plan to kill Betty via car wreck and agreed it was dumb as shit. He assured Glenn that he could carry it out the right way and would do it for the agreed price he set with Chris, $25,000, less the $5,000 that he already paid Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had to give, I believe, because Fred was technically Chris's boss. It was his supplier. So he had to give that $5,000 straight to Fred anyway. And he said he was obligated to fill out his client's debts or whatever.
Except you're not. Fred.
But if I'm
being honest, I pictured Fred from Flintstone.
Oh, okay. No, I pictured Fred Mertz. And he wanted the extra 20 grand. Why not?
Sure.
I mean, in his mind, I know why not for a
right.
morally non-corrupt person.
Yeah, I have several reasons why not.
So Fred tells him that he'd kill her and then bury her with calcium oxide, aka lime, which would essentially disintegrate the body, bones, teeth, everything, so she would never be found. So Glenn says, great, and gives Fred a picture of her, gives him their address, her car information, everything he needs to start surveilling Betty's every move, and he does so for weeks. He follows her to the gym, the grocery store, everywhere. And as he's doing so, he's giving Glenn updates on her, like her hair's getting long, she's always got that damn dog with her, things like that.
Do we know what kind of dog?
No, I know. I don't. I think a small one because he was like,
if she's going everywhere,
carries it everywhere.
Yeah.
Before the big day, though, Glenn has to help Fred with something. He tells him. Glenn had mentioned that he owns private landing strips all over the country and has dabbled in transporting drugs before, back when he lived in Miami. So this piques Fred's interest because he's a pretty big-time drug dealer, particularly of cocaine, but he couldn't get the amount he wanted to sell because he traveled by car. So if he could show his suppliers that he had a partner with a plane, he could move more coke, make more money. Everyone wins. Mm-hmm. I know, exactly. And if Glenn was willing to partner with them and fly it for him, he'd shave $5,000 off the price to kill Betty, bringing it to $15,000. So Glenn's like, sure. And in October 2005, Glenn and Fred flew to Sebring, Florida to meet his supplier named T-Bone. I can't.
I'm loving this. Meats,
T-Bones, whatever. T-Bone had met them halfway from Georgia. They picked up the 5 kilos of cocaine. T-Bone flew back to Palm Beach with Fred and Glenn, and everything really went smoothly. So this is going to be a new thing they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
When they landed and Glenn noted that he wished he could park his plane at his house like he used to do, Fred assured him he'd be able to soon because Betty was about to be, quote, fertilizer.
Oh my God, so gross.
On November 8th, 2005, that day came. Betty got up, got into her car, and drove to the nearby Publix, unknowing that Fred was following her. Publix is a grocery store, by the way. I don't know if everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Glenn kept himself busy all day with a handyman to establish an alibi. The plan was to abduct her from the parking lot, kill her, and bury her in lime again. He didn't tell Glenn exactly how he's going to do it, but Glenn didn't really care as long as it was done. He gave Fred one strict instruction. He wanted the last words that she heard to be, "Is that enough?" Because with every offer of a settlement he gave, she'd say, "No, that's not enough." So he wanted those to be the last words she heard.
What a dick. The mother of your children.
I know.
Also, I have a feeling we're going to talk more shit about him, but I cannot get over these men who are in a bitter, bitter divorce, and then they hire someone to kill their wife as if they're going to get away with it. Like, you are number one suspect. You're number one. Your timing's off. Your whole thing. You're an idiot.
Right.
Who do you think you are?
I know.
They're going to dig deeper into you more than anyone else. It doesn't matter if you have an alibi or not.
Right.
God.
I know. After he did it, Fred was to text Glenn that the weather is good up north. That was like code for it's done.
Mm-hmm. This isn't clever. People have done this before. I just can't with these people.
All
right.
I know. It's insane. So Betty pulls into the grocery store, and when she stops, Fred approaches the driver's side. And when Betty's like, "Can I help you?" he pulls out a badge and says, "I'm an FBI agent, and your husband hired me to kill you."
Shut up!
Yeah.
Yes. Because again, you're not clever. You're not the first. People are on to you. Oh my God, I love it.
This whole thing was a ploy. Fred is not a hitman, obviously. And again, Fred is a fake name. His real identity has never been revealed. That's his one stipulation. Even on Dateline, they like put a disguise on him. They have prosthetics. I don't know what he doesn't look like he has a disguise on, but he does.
Oh, that's so creepy.
I know. When he tells Betty what Glenn was up to, she just looked at him and said, "I'm not surprised." She's like, not at all.
After decades of being married, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, right.
That would break my heart in so many ways.
Right. So Fred then texts Glenn that the weather is good up north, and he gets Betty's keys and her cell phone to take back to Glenn as like proof, quote unquote, proof that he carried out the plan. The next day, he and Glenn met in a parking lot, and he gave him the keys and cell phone. He wanted to keep the cell phone to see like who she'd been texting. Fuck off.
Shut up.
Lunacy.
God.
Fred told him that when he attacked her, she begged for her life, saying she had kids and what would happen to them. And Glenn is so unbothered. He was like, "They'll grow up and they'll still have me. Who cares?" Like, he just couldn't care less.
God.
Then Fred told him that he said is it enough, or is this enough? And she responded that she only wanted the half that was hers. And Glenn laughed and said, "Well, now you're not getting shit, bitch." He just could not care less.
Oh my God, what an asshole.
Glenn hands over the $15,000 in cash, and Fred says he'll talk to him later. As Glenn's getting out of the car, and you can see a video of this, I'll try to save it to post. Fred flashes the headlights and does a little tap on the roof of the car, like through the open window. And that's a signal to move in. And 10 SWAT team officers surround Glenn.
Oh my God, and Fred just waves.
It's badass.
That is badass.
He didn't fight it at all. They arrested him and took him down the same jail where Chris Robinson was still being held, which is how this whole thing started. When Chris was arrested on that drug charge, he wanted a little leniency. So he told the officers that he had some information about a murder for hire situation.
Perfect. So
they got him to call Glenn from jail to tell him that his boss, Fred, would carry out the plan. And that's how they got in touch.
It. Good for you, Chris. You know what? No drug charges for you.
And it's very unlikely that he was going to carry out that car wreck bullshit. Like, that just... he himself was a big drug dealer. Like, he has guns. Like,
yeah.
There's no way that was your plan.
Right.
He was going to pull a move like Meats, for sure.
Right. Cocaine, schmocaine. You're free, Chris.
Glenn was arrested and charged with solicitation to commit first-degree murder and drug trafficking, which, by the way, was not part of the plan at all. Since Glenn offered up that he had moved drugs before, they were just like, "Oh, let's throw this into the mix.
That's interesting.
Maybe we'll get him on both charges." He ended up getting a plea deal and was sentenced to 15 years in prison and had to pay $250,000 and a fine. He was released in August 2018 after serving 11 years, and today his whereabouts are unknown.
Oh.
Betty sold the house and moved away and also just wants to get on with life. She never did a Dateline interview. She doesn't want to talk to anyone about this.
No, I understand that completely.
On January 17th, 2006, while he was still in jail, and I think right before the trial started, their son Jeff died in a motorcycle accident. He was only 22.
Oh, I
Isn't
thought
that
you were going to
sad?
say, yeah, I thought you were going to say Glenn. Whatever.
No.
You know.
No, he's still alive.
Oh, that is sad.
Isn't that sad?
God, poor other child. Not child. I know you're an adult now, but what a rough go.
I know.
You lost everyone in your family.
I know. Isn't that sad?
Oh, well, not Betty. I know, but.
Yeah, I know. And that's the dumbass story of Glenn's attempted murder for hire.
Glenn, you idiot.
After the feds seized everything from Glenn, Betty only stood to receive $100 per year in the divorce settlement.
What?
I know.
Why?
I forgot to throw that part in there. They took everything. They took his planes. She sold the house. Plane, motorcycle, pretty much all of his assets. I think he did get to keep the deli, but I don't know. She only got $100 per year.
Oh my God. That sucks. I mean, no, what? I got screwed.
Yeah, well, yeah. They're not going to pay her what she should have been owed. I mean, he fucked it all up.
Oh my God. No, I understand that. The divorce wasn't final?
Nope. It was finalized in 2007.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Well, that really sucks.
I know.
What a dick.
I know.
Did they present, what was that like? Do you know when they presented, like, she's alive, you idiot?
No. I think he figured it out very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That Fred was all bullshit. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's just did a little tap to the car and a SWAT team.
I know, but so like anyone in the right mind would be like, oh, that was clearly a informant. And
I know, but I would love to see that
dead.
follow-up interrogation. I would also love if cops, if their body cams are always on, I would love to hear what they say to a guy like this when they're just like probably billy clubbing the hell out of him and being like, get on the ground, you dumb motherfucker. You thought you were going to get away with something? Like, you're the first one? You're an idiot.
Oh, if I can record the Dateline, they're all right there. Yeah, you can probably hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Patrons: Kate, Julie, Haley, Nicole, Laura, Tasha, Allie, Amelia, Anna, Nikki, Kelly, Haley, Susan, Patricia, Tanya. Hey. We have a couple of custom shout outs. The first one's our very first revenge one, which I'm not encouraging this, but this is fun. I can't say her name. Shout out to my neighbor. This is pretty good. Shout out to my neighbor. We'll just call her Winter. Okay, that gives me an indication of what her name is.
A better name, Summer.
Who literally shared an apartment wall with me, who slept with my abusive husband, now ex, and got pregnant. I would not know how amazing life is if it weren't for you. Me and my 3 children are happy, thriving, and living our best lives. I'm sure hers is great. Sorry, not sorry. She was catfished. No takesies, backsies, boo-boo.
Oh, my God. No takesies,
so
backsies.
Oh, my God. That is so
wow.
Good. I am so glad you got out of that, and now you have 3 other sweet angel babies.
Well, not others.
Not others. Sorry, I didn't mean to say others. Whatever, you know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm
they're
very
his
sick.
kids, which is awful. What a dirtbag. But I do hope that he's not abusing Winter. Although maybe she's out of it too. God.
I hope she's out of it too, and her baby, their baby.
Oh God. You're right.
Winter. Her name is either Summer or Autumn. That's all I'll say. That's all I know.
And we know that.
My next custom shout out is from Jesse. My custom shout out is to my small business, Gator Games and Hobby in Leavenworth, Kansas. My husband and I grew this business over the past 20 years from a hole-in-the-wall video rental store to tabletop gaming. We do things like trading card games, Dungeons and Dragons, board games, miniature gaming, and all sorts of nerdy gifts. I love it. Mm-hmm. We also champion LGBTQ+ and minority rights in our community. If you ever come to the Kansas City area, take the time for a short trip up north of the city and just look for the giant 2-story Spock on the side of our building. Oh, I love it.
Love
You
it.
can't miss it. You can't miss us. Sorry, I'm sick. I can't read.
I know.
Find us online at gatorsfeedsyourneeds.com or on TikTok at Gators Games. Gators is plural.
Oh, okay.
When I say that.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all.
And thank y'all for joining.
You're the best.
People are the worst.
Bye.
Bye.